The regular meeting for Thursday, September the 1st, 2022 will now come to order. Please silence cell phones, and blue slips are to come to Jess up front. We'll now have the invocation and pledge of allegiance by Mr. Bartee.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you. We thank you for this day. We thank you for everything that you've blessed us with, Heavenly Father. We thank you for blessing us to live in the greatest country in this world, Father. Now, Lord, we ask your blessings on this meeting. We ask that we would be guided by you and that every decision we make would be made with you in mind, and Heavenly Father, that you would bless every decision that we make. We ask this in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys. Miss Kathy, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Abshire?
Here.
Mr. Antoine?
Here.
Mr. Barris?
Here.
Vice President Bartee?
Here.
Mr. Brain?
Here.
Mr. Burley?
Here.
Mr. Guillory?
Here.
Mr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Landry?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Markentile?
Here.
Mr. Richard?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Tremonti?
Here.
And President Stelling.
Here.
Everyone's present.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Because of the public hearing at 5:45, we're going to go to 2A, which is an appearance by Mr. Shaylin Latour, candidate for Public Service Commission, 4th District. Mr. Latour, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, Shaylin Tour, address 3530 Hecker Road, Highway, LA 70647. First off, I'd like to thank y'all for allowing me to come and speak to y'all. It seems not too long ago I was here in y'all's shoes, and it seems weird actually coming back my first time being here, but thank y'all for letting me come here. Of course, running for Public Service Commissioner, I've been asked 1,000 times why would I want to even attempt this headache. But the truth of the matter, there's a lot of climate with the electricity bills and the energy crisis we have going on, so it gave me a big push from several people, my constituents throughout different parishes called me and wanted me to run. So this is what I'm doing. I'm here to stand up for the people that I represent. There's a lot of things that need to happen. It will be some hard and long changes, but the biggest thing is make an attempt to make things better. A little bit about me. I was, of course, a police juror. Calcasieu Parish is, the biggest parish in this district, so whomever can do well here has a very good fighting chance of pulling this district off and making a win. I'm married with 6 children. I'm a small business owner. 2 small business, a transportation company and a medical supply right here out of Sulphur, Louisiana. We run about 15 to 20 people. With that, I have a business background. I graduated from Liberty University in business management. The biggest thing is, several of y'all know me to know that I do work hard and I try to do my best for the people I represent. And all I could ask is for you to spread the word. And, if we can really pull Calcasieu hard, we have a very good fighting chance. So thank y'all again for the opportunity to come and speak to y'all. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Mr. Latour? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank y'all very much.
2B, receive report from Mr. Jimmy Moe, Calcasieu County Agent, on activities at the LSU Agricultural Center.
Thank you, Mr. Stellu. Appreciate the police jury for all their support from our Ag Center programs. If you don't know where we are, it's a white building out by Burton with a green roof. Might not be green for long once we get everything done, but we are starting our construction, so we do thank y'all for pushing that through to help us get it all going again. Just wanted to do a little brief introduction. We have our 4-H, some of our 4-H staff today with us. We're going to kind of talk about, and I have 2 of my agents in the back, Ms. Carrie Lane and Mr. Brennan Uze. Some of our, they go out to the schools and do our youth programs. We have about 60 clubs throughout the parish, and the different clubs, private, public, it doesn't matter where, we can do a 4-H club and we'll help the youth. With us today, though, I have one of our 4-H junior leaders in one of our programs, and they do a lot of community service and leadership activities across the state. And our vice president, Ms. Kendall Goodwin, is here today to do a little small presentation for you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kendall Goodwin, and I'm a sophomore at St. Louis High School. I am very active in several school activities, including playing soccer, running cross country, and track, and along with being a servant leadership committee member, a member of the Helping Hand Club and FBLA, where I was a state winner in an FBLA contest and attended the National FBLA Leadership Conference this summer in Chicago. I also play on the local 16U girls soccer team that won state last year, and we represented Lake Charles at the regional soccer tournament in Dallas. On top of all of this, I also spend whatever free time I have by showing beef cattle with my best friends that ironically 4-H has given me. My livestock and I have been blessed with winning several state titles and a national title that occurred this summer. So enough about my busy schedule. I would like to talk to you about 4-H. I've been in 4-H for 7 years, beginning in the 4th grade, and I've been a junior leader officer for 3 years. 4-H has given me so many opportunities to live out and practice my leadership skills. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a very busy high school student, and 4-H has taught me an important lesson, and that's time management. 4-H has taught me that sometimes you have to say no to things that you want to do and say yes to things that will benefit you in the long run. For instance, after a long day of school and my 2 sports practices, I go home and I take care of my animals and I wash them and feed them, and sometimes I might not have time to go hang out with my friends, but in the end it benefits me because my animals excel in the show ring. Over the years, I've served as a camp counselor and attended many 4-H contests. Each of these events has given me so many happy memories, and I've made lifelong friends from all over our state through 4-H. From showing livestock to competing in interview contests, 4-H has shaped me into the person I am today. This past summer, I competed in career prep at the 4-H University, which takes place at LSU. The Calcasieu Parish Junior Leader Club did very well in all of our competitions, and we made many, many new friends. After attending 4-HU, I volunteered to be a camp counselor with some younger 4-Hers in 3rd through 6th grade to attend Camp Grant Walker. I also attended the 7th and 8th grade day camp as a counselor for our parish. I also had a bunch of leadership experiences during that time. I got to help the campers, and I had to grow my leadership skills with some experiences that I was not familiar with kids, as I'm sure some of y'all know. I know of several college students who grew up in 4-H and developed their leadership skills here in our parish that have gone on to do amazing things in their careers. There are many of us current high school students that are learning and growing our skills through this great program, and I would like to thank you for your continued support to our parish 4-H and allowing many students, including myself, to grow in leadership roles that will help give us a bright future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you very much. Thank you, Jimmy. We will go to 3A. Adopt a resolution approving an amendment to the professional engineering contract between the police jury and Meyer and Associates Incorporated as part of the clearing and snagging of various drainage laterals in Calcasieu Parish. Have a motion by Mr. Abshar and a second by Mr. Barris. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 3A passes. 3B, adopt a resolution approving a professional engineering contract for the Mallard Junction Water Treatment Plant Water Well Number 4 and associated improvements project. I have a motion by Mr. Guillory and a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 3B carries. 3C,
Move on, 3C.
adopt a resolution approving an amendment to the professional engineering contract for the Coach Williams Drive Extension Project. Have a motion by Mr. Markentile and a second by Mr. Lewis. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 3C carries. 3D, adopt a resolution approving
Move
a
on, 3D.
utility and drainage servitude
All right,
agreement for the Highway 397 and James Sudeth Road Waterline Loop and Replacement Project. Have a motion by Mr. Smith and a second by Mr. Landry. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 3D carries. 3E,
Move on, 3E.
adopt a resolution approving an active sale agreement for the Gautier Road Lake Charles Regional Airport Sewer Transportation System Project, Phase Number 2. I have a motion by Mr. Hayes and a second by Mr. Brame. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 3E carries.
Move on, 3F.
3F.
Second.
Adopt a resolution approving a temporary servitude and right-of-use agreement for the Sarah Street Bridge Replacement Project. I have a motion by Mr. Onderpont and a second by Mr. Barris. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 3F passes. 3G,
Move on 3G.
adopt the resolution approving the renewal of a cooperative endeavor agreement for the 2022 through 2025 Calcasieu Parish Local Coastal Program. I have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Brame. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 3G passes.
Move on 4A.
4A, approve applications for liquor and beer permits. Staff recommends 1 new application and 2 renewal applications be approved. I have a motion by Mr. Richard and a second by Mr. Lewis. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 4A passes.
Move on 5A.
5A, approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the police jury dated August 4th, 2022. I have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Abshire. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 5A passes. Item 6A,
Move on 6A.
adopt a resolution approving the renewal of a contract for the funding the Alternatives to Detention Program. I have a motion by Mr. Guillory and a second by Mr. Richard. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 6A passes. Item 7A, adopt a resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement for the Continuum of Care Permanent Supportive Housing Initiative. I have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Lewis. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 7A passes. 7B,
Move on 7.
adopt a resolution approving an application sponsor agreement for the Family Daycare Home Food Program, FDCHFP, for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. I have a motion by Mr. Markentile and a second by Mr. Hayes. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 7B passes. 7C,
Move on 7.
acknowledge the submittal of minutes from the Calcasieu Parish Human Services Advisory Board for the meeting held on April 19, 2022. Have a motion by Mr. Richard and a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 7C passes.
Move on 8A.
8A, approve
Second.
payment of all current invoices. I have a motion by Mr. Onderpont and a second by Mr. Barris. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8A passes.
Move on 8B.
Adopt a resolution on proposals for community partners for services in education, employment, income management, senior services, mental health services, health and fitness services, and other services. Have a motion by Mr. Richard and a second by Mr. Tremonti. Is there any staff recommends a total community service block grant, CSBG award in the amount of $70,000 be accepted and awarded as follows. Girly Girls Mentoring Program, $20,000. Salt and Light Collaborative Incorporated, $25,000. And Transitions Life Skills Development, $25,000. Have a motion by Mr. Richard and a second by Mr. Tremonti. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none. 8B passes. 8C,
Move to adopt.
adopt a resolution on bids for the Prion Lake Park Hurricane Repair Project. Staff recommends that the bid of Alfred Palmer LLC in the amount of $2,900,500 be accepted. A motion by Mr. Brame and a second by Mr. Barris. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8C passes. We have a minute, so we will wait for the 5:45. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Barris, go ahead.
Real quick, these, this one, 8D, 8E, and all these hurricane repair projects, is this insurance money we're spending?
Yes, I don't know if it's just that,
But-
but I'll
right, I
let Kelly
got
can
you.
answer more detail. Yes.
Done? Thank you. Hold a public hearing at 5:45, ordering said owners to show cause as to why the structures on said property should not be condemned. 1A, 6456 San Diego Street, Southeast Lake Charles, Ward 3, one house and one accessory building. Is there anyone from the audience who wishes to speak on this item? State your name and address for the record, sir.
Jamie Gary, 422 East College Street, Suite B, Lake Charles, 70605. Good afternoon. I represent the succession of Sandra Ryan. The estate of the succession actually owns this property. The problems that we've had. Let me take a step back. I represent two of the kids. The third child was the administrator for several years. That's where the problem has come up with, is that former administrator did let the property go in neglect, refused to remedy situations, refused to hear people's complaint about the property. That gentleman has now been removed as administrator effective May 2022. My client, Deneen White, one of the sisters, has been appointed as administrator, and she's actively taking steps to try to rectify the situation. I know she's talked to Mr. Barty, Mr. Crane, I think Mr. Dan Broussard too, actively asking questions, what can we do to fix the situation? I know it's kind of late in the game, but they have really tried to do what they can to do, given the situation. They were not aware of the complaints. The brother would not allow them access to the property over the years. The house was, the house was built, the interior was not finished, but they had no idea from the outside prior to the hurricane. They really had no idea of what the condition was inside the house. What steps have they taken? They've cut the grass. They've picked up brick in the yard. They picked up the debris the best they can. The situation now that's stopping them from doing any extensive work is the fact that the brother lives out there in an RV. We've asked for a court date from the district judge. I've not received that court date yet, but we're asking the judge to order the gentleman to vacate the property. I need a court order because he's an heir. He's entitled to interest in the estate, but I need a court order requiring him to vacate the property and remove the items because I think there's an RV and some vehicles in the property. So at this moment, we're just asking for some more time, and whether that's a deferral or some time to make the repairs. I've got two really good clients. I think they've done the best they can in the situation. They're just asking for some more time.
Mr. Barris.
Mr. Crane,
Yes, sir.
that RV that gentleman's staying in, is that all on the up and up? Sewer systems checks out? Is he supposed to even be there?
I'm not sure.
We may be able to take care of that other part for you,
I'm
bud.
not sure if we've investigated that to make that determination.
I
at this
mean,
point.
I think that goes without saying. I mean, like I said, if that's the case, we save you a step. We'll handle that.
In removing RV?
Mm-hmm. I mean, but we're gonna have it checked out, is what you're saying.
We'd have to investigate it. I'm not sure if they received a FEMA, RV at that location. We're just gonna have to check the permits to see.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Barty.
Sir, I appreciate you coming out, but Wes and I have talked as well as several of the residents in that area. This isn't a problem that just started. What's funny is, just as like I told you, I started getting calls on this property before I was even sworn in. So my recommendation is that we condemn the property. So I make a motion to condemn.
I have a motion to condemn. Need a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Mike?
Well, okay, thank you. Well, I was trying to find out exactly what was going on with the property, because I know that the sister did come in this week and made some improvements by trying to clean up the outside. what is the actual end result that y'all was trying to get with this property?
That's a good question. So they have contacted contractors to come in there to give quotes on to make repairs or even to demo it, but there's no hard surface or no to get to the house, and with all the rain right now, they can't get anybody to get in there. There's no driveway. There's no. It's wet. It's muddy to get to the house. So they just haven't had a contract to go in there yet to give them quote. But they have contacted contractors. The end game is to make the repairs to the home and try to sell it because we need to close out the succession.
Right, yeah, I wanted to find out about that succession also. I mean, we couldn't do anything to actually go further until the succession is done, or we just could just override that succession.
Well, I mean, I'll leave that to y'all as attorneys for the parish, but the succession puts people into the rightful ownership of whatever they may be entitled to. Whether it's condemned or not, I don't think it affects what they're entitled to.
Okay.
If it's condemned, it's not going to take away their rights as far as ownership of the estate.
Thank you.
Mr. Hayes?
Is there insurance money tied up in this?
No, this house was not completely built in the inside, so there was builder's risk initially, insurance, but to my knowledge, what I've been told, there's no homeowners insurance covering the property, so there's no hurricane claim filed.
So you have two heirs fighting the third?
That's correct. And when the hurricane occurred, it was the previous administrator for succession. He was administrator at that time, and he didn't secure any kind of insurance, which I don't think he could have without being completed the house.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Wes?
I was just going to follow up, if you don't mind, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
On Mr. Hayes's inquiry. This house they started construction and got to a point where they never finished it and therefore never received a certificate of occupancy for this structure. So it just stopped. And it was far enough along that we allowed for them to eventually come back and continue the work. They would have had to renew the permit because the permit had long since been expired. But that never happened, and it just sort of sat there for many years. And now it's in the condition, it's gone through a couple of hurricanes, and so it's in pretty rough condition at this point.
Any other comments? I have a motion by Mr. Barty and a second by Mr. Lewis to condemn and remove in 30 days. Any discussion, any objection? Hearing none, it is condemned.
Thank y'all.
1B, north of 109 Executive Drive, Moss Bluff, Ward 1.
Second.
One recreational pool house building and one accessory building.
Hi, my name is,
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
State your name and address.
My name is Lori Gober, and my address is 4568 Cypress Lake Drive. I'm here representing my uncle, Dr. Larry Hoskins, who's part owner in this complex. There are two other owners. One is deceased. One is, they've been trying to split this property up for years. My uncle is 84, senile, bedridden. So now I have power of attorney to help him. I have letters. This has been boarded up. The pool has been drained. All the debris has been pulled out. I have a letter from a contractor who's ready to go to fix this as soon as we take care of some other issues. I have a letter from a realtor with a broker's price opinion, what this is actually could be valued, what it's valued at, and if it's fixed, what it's valued at. So it's salvageable. The issue is splitting this land up. They want to, and this contract has been going on since 2019. Splitting the land up, one owner wants the west side, my uncle, the east side. There's not an issue with that. The problem is this is an LLC, and so from what the CPA is saying, once you divide this property up, the LLC, that person gets the shares and they're left with the tax liability. So that is our sticking point of settling this and dividing the property. Once the property is divided, if it goes the way they're talking about, my uncle owns the side with the buildings. The other partner owns the side with just land. So that's why I'm here representing my uncle, because I don't want him to put a lot more money into this until I know how this is going to be divided up. I don't want him to put in $80,000 and he ends up with nothing. Because, like I said, he's bedridden. I'm sorry? 1 minute. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So, that's it. The issue is just dividing up the LLC if it goes the way they've proposed. I have an attorney in Lafayette helping me with this. The attorney that the other person had just left his firm here in Lake Charles. We just contacted the new attorney here on Monday. So basically, I'm asking for more time, a month, maybe two, just to finally settle this. If it doesn't settle, we'll probably have to demolish it, and this will go into a long court battle. But I would like to try to save it because it's salvageable. Like I said, I have a letter from the contractor and a realtor. And I have photos of that was just done this week of being cleared up and boarded up. So I'm asking for more time.
Mr. Richard.
Yeah, I looked at that property, but it's beyond the storm. That property has been
Yes, sir.
abandoned and, just people going and staying in that little pool house or whatever. And nothing, I mean, if it's going to go through the court, it hadn't gone there yet. Whatever happens to it, can it be decided in court? Who's going to pay for what if they all own the property?
We're hoping to split it, and the one person gets the one side of the land, and my uncle has the other, and I'm ready to go to prepare to fix this. The contractor I have actually is interested in purchasing the 12 acres on that side for
But what I'm saying, the
developing.
judgment would be on all three of y'all. So y'all would have to clear the judgment before the place could be sold or anything. So everybody would have a piece of the pie in paying for the demolition of the building.
We're trying to avoid that. We had a contract that was signed, my uncle signed it 2017, before he was kind of getting senile, then he withdrew it. So the idea is to split the land up. Now my uncle is the one responsible for this side, the other owner that side. It's a land split. The LLC buys the land, and that's where the sticking point is. The shares to the LLC, that person is held responsible for the tax liability. I have a CPA that's involved with that. We're trying not to go to court, because if it does have to go to court, it'll just have to be demolished and we'll have to settle it, the land.
Long enough for me. I think it needs to go myself. I'll
So
make a
my
motion
uncle-
that we abandon
He will lose the value
Condemn
in
the
this
building.
property.
the.
Have a motion, I'm sorry.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I'm just
You
trying
done?
to save my uncle's money. He's an invalid, 24-hour home care. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to
Okay.
save his money. If that's torn down, he's going to lose possibly $400,000.
I have a motion to condemn and remove in 30 days by Mr. Richard. I need a second, please.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Onderpont. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, it is going to be condemned.
And I can take care of that?
I think you can get with Mr. Crane or, yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Item 1C, 7421 Flounder Drive, South Lake Charles, Ward 3, one manufactured home.
Move on 1C.
Do I have anyone from the audience who wants to speak on this item? Seeing none, I have a motion to condemn and remove in 30 days by Mr. Hayes and a second by Mr. Markentile. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 1C has been condemned. 1D, staff recommends this item be deferred. Do I need a motion to defer? Oh, I do, I'm sorry. Our first speaker is going to be Maria Duhan.
What's this home?
Which one?
On 1D.
On 1D.
It's on the public hearing.
Oh, wait, hold up.
Oh, we did.
We did 1C, right?
Yes.
Okay, 1D, yes.
My name is Maria Duhan. I live next door at 5883 Kingsbury. And I've been listening to these stories, and they all touch on different areas. But my dad's 84 years old, and I don't think he deserves to have to pick up the trash that comes from this house. It took me a long time to find the owner, but I did contact the owner. And the only thing he seemed to be concerned about was, how did I find him? He wasn't concerned about his trash in our yard. He's had numerous contractors, which they come, they say it's not worth fixing, and then another one comes. I compared it to doctor shopping, until you get a contractor that's going to do what you want, you just keep going through them. I've contacted the sheriff's department for the litter in our yard. They said contact the district attorney's office. I contacted them. They said contact the police jury. I contacted them. I finally got in touch with someone with the police jury and said they would try and help us. This man in 344 days has done nothing at this property until the police jury has forced them. Last month, there was areas of the grass that were above my hip, and I'm tired of fighting the battle. I understand if he lived here, if he was a member of this parish, if he was a member of this state, but he's not.
We have a couple of jurors with questions or comments. Mr. Onderpunt.
My question is for staff of why is this being recommended for deferral?
The gentleman contacted us, the owner, and requested that he be allowed to repair the structure. And so we suggested that it be deferred so that he could provide a list of those repairs as what the ordinance requires him to provide us a list. And so we need that list.
How long has this been in this condition?
It's been in this condition for some time now.
How long?
A pretty long time. How many years? Couple years, yeah.
Nothing has been done here. When I spoke to the contractor that said he was going to do the work, I asked him if he had a permit from the police jury, and his response was, "Who is the police jury?" And I said, if you don't know, you will find out.
President, it just
Mr.
seems to
Barrett.
me there's been ample time to do something.
Mr. Barris.
Thank you. I take Mr. Wang's absence as an insult, and I don't think there's a question in this. If this has been going on for 2 years or more, and evidently he has, he doesn't know who we are. Well, he's fixing to find out. I yield back.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, I guess Mr. Crane contacted me a couple of days ago after this gentleman, and look, I've gotten a number of phone calls about this place. I think we went out there, we've cut the grass, we picked up some trash, there's been different issues. This gentleman was not the owner of the house at the time the hurricane hit. So he purchased it in this condition. And yes, why has he not done anything yet? I mean, it's a problem, and it's a problem for the neighborhood. When Mr. Crane called me and said, hey, look, this guy called, he wants to fix the house. I've been there. I've looked through the window and what have you. You can tell it's been gutted out. I think it's fixable, although he doesn't have a good record of taking care of the place because, as many of us were not in our homes after the storm, you still cut your grass and you still took care of the place for the neighbors. You don't want to leave it. It's your responsibility. And I get all that, and the people are upset. I do think it's salvageable, You know, if the guy does what he says he's gonna do, and that's why I told Mr. Crane, I don't have a problem if he's got a plan and we can hold his feet to the fire and he does what he says he's gonna do. And I'm not talking about him taking 3 years to fix the house. You know, I mean, the first thing he needs to do, keep up the outside and repair the outside. And so I wasn't against waiting a month to see, you know, what his plan is. Now, I don't know if you've heard back from him. Is the gentleman here tonight or what have you? And I mean, when you spoke to him the other day, you did indicate that we would give him the time to come up with this plan of what he's gonna do with the property.
Yes, sir, and I, personally, I didn't speak to him. Mr. Robinson spoke to him.
Mr.
Yeah,
Robinson,
could
can
you come up, Mr.
please?
Robinson, so we can,
State your name and position, sir.
David Robinson, Code Enforcement, Calcasieu Parish Police Jury. I did speak to Mr. Wang after we had that discussion, and I indicated to him what your opinion was, and I said he would have to submit a list of what he's going to do.
right.
And then I said we would bring it back up on the October 6th agenda, and then basically see if y'all are going to allow him to fix
So
it.
what was his response to that?
He said he was going to submit that.
He was gonna do
Yeah.
it,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't indicate to you that he was, you know, coming tonight. So, you know,
Well,
that's.
and maybe he was assuming that we were automatically going to defer it, so
Right,
that's why he's not
right.
here.
And, you know, there's been a lot of back and forth, and I wish he was here, because I do have some questions for him, because I'm not sure. There's been some discrepancies, I think, in what's been said to you, or what was about him living in the home and different, you know, so, which I'm not sure about. And of course, I had gotten phone calls about the property, about the grass, and, you know, of course, I turned all those things in. And really, I'm the reason that it's on the condemn list tonight, is because it kept going and nothing was done, and I asked them to put it on there, as I have all the other ones in my district. But I'm not against the guy if he does what he says he's gonna do. I mean, so far, it's been an issue. And there is a housing shortage. I mean, it can be fixed. Now, is he gonna do it or not? You know, I don't know. I haven't gotten any other calls from the neighborhood until, I think, yesterday, which was after I already spoke to Mr. Crane and indicated, yeah, okay, let's see what his plan is, and we kind of go from there. So had I gotten that phone call prior to my conversation with Mr. Crane, I might have given him a different answer. But then now, I'm not gonna go back on what I said and what I said, okay, I don't have a problem. So either I'm gonna be a liar and go back on what I told him. I mean, but had I got the conversation from somebody or the phone call from the neighborhood prior to that, I probably, we wouldn't even be talking about this right now. But, you know, it's a problem. I don't know, when he comes next month, I'm liable not to agree with whatever his plan is. You know, I guess if he goes there and he mows the grass and the thing's spotless and he becomes a good neighbor overnight, hey, give him a shot. That's probably not gonna happen. My guess is they'll probably be calling for a grass complaint in another week or two. But that's the situation I'm in. I'm not gonna go back on what I said. And that could be why the man's not here tonight. You know, I don't want to keep giving him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he's at the end of his rope.
President, we just want to remind everyone there is not currently a motion on the floor, so.
Actually, I did make a motion, but I don't think they heard me.
I apologize.
I made a motion to.
It wasn't seconded for
To
sure.
defer for the 30 days until he comes up with a
So, we
plan.
have a motion to defer for 30 days, but we have a speaker. Do we go ahead and get the second? We have a speaker on the board, and we have a speaker in the crowd.
Get a second? if you-
Okay, I need, I have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Guillory to defer. I have another speak. Mr. Barris, you go ahead.
So, Mr. Landry, you told him you didn't have any problem with staff requesting a deferment. That's not they were gonna defer it. It's still, I mean, to me, the guy he should have known, like, it still has to come before, you know, the board, the jury, and he just assumed that we were going to grant this, and he's not here to answer some very important questions.
I don't think we can comment on what he knows and what he doesn't know. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people who are not familiar with the rules.
Hang on. My whole thing is if this mattered to him, I mean, I would be here. He should be here to answer these questions, or someone, you know, should be here on his behalf. I mean, this is a long time, and I don't know when, so those were last week. Mr. Robinson, does it appear to you that somebody's been in there working recently? Or like all that materials, the materials that there, I mean, is it?
No one's been there recently. About I don't know, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, we did get a call from people in the neighborhood that people were out there starting to do something. So the chief building official sent one of the building inspectors out there, and he put a stop work order on a job and basically told the people to leave. So they left, and there hasn't been anything else other than when I was out there last week, they did have someone, I think prior to me getting there, working on the sewer system, which they can do that. You know, we can't stop them from doing that.
Thank you.
Mr. Barty?
Before you leave, so you said someone was out there doing some work. Did they have the proper permits to do
No,
that?
that's why we put a stop work order.
Okay. Now, my other question was, I heard it said that we were cutting the grass. Who is we? Is that the parish?
The parish, yes.
So was that after the property had changed hands?
Yes.
So the new owner purchased the property and we were still maintaining,
Yes.
we were still having to cut grass?
Right, we were sending the violation letters to the new owner, and the grass wasn't being cut, so the parish has cut it, and we will file a lien against the property.
Mr. Underpont?
Mr. Barty raised one of my questions about the grass cutting. The other thing is the previous speaker said that the gentleman really wasn't interested of her concerns. He wanted to know how he was found, didn't know who the police jury was. So I don't know if that conversation happened before Mr. Landry spoke to him, but I don't see where things are adding up here. So, thank you.
We have a speaker, Mr. Morris. And go ahead, Mr. Landry, you go ahead.
I never spoke to the gentleman. I don't know him. I've never spoke to him.
Okay.
I've only spoke to the staff. That's it. And look, I made the motion because I'm not going back on what I said. If you vote against it, I'll be just as happy as I can be. And the neighbors will probably be happy. Because like I said, had I got that phone call prior to, we wouldn't be doing this. So,
Okay.
you know, but I'm not going back on what
Sure.
I said.
I understand.
I've been up here over 20 years and I hadn't done it once. I'm not doing it tonight. And if you're on the right side of that, you would appreciate it. If you're on the other side, you may not. You know.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
State your
Thank you
name
for
and
your time.
address, please.
My name is Brian Morris, 5863 Kingsbury Lane, Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm the neighbor to the north of the property. The calls that I've documented, May 2nd, 6th, 19th, 25th, July 8th, 15th, August 31st, and many other calls that I've made to the police jury complaining about the trash on the property and trash blowing into my property. You know, previously stated, you know, this is an issue that has continued. The gentleman obtained the property on 4/9/21. So I gave the gentleman an entire year before I started making complaints myself, which I thought was ample time to take care of things. And also another thing that I found when I was looking for all these items, the gentleman had another property violation through the city of Lake Charles and not through the police jury for the same code violations. So this is another address that it's happened at. So it seems to be a continuation of, you know, something that's been going on. But it's even gone so far as I had KPLC on 6/20 to make it more aware, and still nothing had happened. And so here I am in front of y'all trying to get things done. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Okay, the current motion is to defer, Mr. Landry, and a second by Mr. Guillory. Is there any other discussion? Mr. Markington?
Yeah, really.
We'll have to have a roll call vote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
On the motion to defer for 30 days, and this will be a reverse roll call vote. Mr. Tremonti?
A no vote is to condemn, correct? No.
Well,
But
we'll
it's
need
just
another-
we will need a separate motion
Okay, I got you.
to
No.
condemn. This is just on the defer.
This is not to defer.
Not to
Not to defer.
defer.
No is not to defer.
That's correct.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr. Richard?
No.
Mr. Markentile?
No.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Landry?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
No.
Mr. Guillory?
Yes.
Mr. Burley?
No.
Mr. Brame?
I don't know.
You don't know?
That's not. He's in the restaurant.
No.
Vice President Bartu?
No.
Mr. Barris?
Nope.
Mr. Angelpont?
No.
And Mr. Epsher?
No.
The motion failed.
My happiest defeat since I've been here. Okay, so now I did what I said. I'm going to make a motion that we condemn the structure.
I have a motion by Mr. Landry to condemn and a second by Mr. Hayes. Is there any other discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, it is condemned. 1E, 2323 Country Club Road, South Lake Charles, Ward 3, one accessory building. Is there anyone in the audience? Can you state your name and address? for
Ray
the-
Harrington.
Sir?
Ray Harrington.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, well, to begin with, one thing I'm concerned about is I don't know why y'all condemned the building, you know? I mean, it's a building that's went through 3 hurricanes, you know? It needs a little bit of repairs and stuff like that. Now, I'll go ahead and tear the building down. I mean, you know, I don't mind doing that, but I don't like the idea of people, you know, just trying to, you know, railroad me into something that I don't want to do, you know. Now, I've already started to do, you know, take everything down and remove everything out of the building. But I want to express what I feel about why did y'all want to condemn the building when I don't think you have wooden pole barns put up in this parish all the time, you know. This is a metal building. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the structure's good. Now, all of a sudden, they tell me that an architect says it's not, you know. I just don't understand that.
Mr. Brame.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, Ray, you know, over the years, you and I have had a lot of discussion about this building and between you and.
I can't understand you.
What I said was between, you know, over the years, you and I have had many discussions on this property, as long with Mr. Robinson and Mr. Crane.
Not on the structure of the building, we hadn't had any.
Well, the property itself.
The property and cleaning up, yeah.
Yeah, and you've been doing it. You've been working on it and getting it
Yeah.
cleaned up, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I've been hearing about this property, though, and you know, like I talked to you before the meeting and talked to you several times before the meeting. I mean, you've come to my place, and we've had numerous conversations about it. I just think that, and I think that most people that would agree with me that the property, the structures just need to be condemned and removed. And that's my motion that I'm gonna make tonight, is condemn and remove within 30 days.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I'm,
because
I mean,
because
I'm not
from what I understood, you said you had told us that you were taking down the building anyway.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I think it's just best that we just
Well,
make the
okay.
motion tonight.
Yeah.
That's the motion I'm gonna make, is to condemn and remove in 30 days. And I think once you get that building down and the property cleaned up, I think at the end of the day, I think you'll be happier just because our conversations that we've had, it'll be something off your back that you haven't been dealing with. I mean, Ray, I like you. You and I have always gotten along. It's just, we've come to that point to where it's just time. And so that's, and no hard feelings whatsoever. And I think you agree with me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think you do.
Yeah.
But I think it's just best. And I think maybe you don't understand it maybe fully right now, but I think in 2 months from now, you're gonna be like, dang, I'm glad that's gone.
I
No
don't
more
believe that.
headaches for me.
Yeah.
And you can go on and just, come by the shop, drink coffee, just forget about it and let's just move on.
Okay, well,
But I do
I'm
understand.
gonna go ahead and tear the building down.
Yes, sir.
okay?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that's gonna be the deal. Right now, my only problem is I'm trying to get rid of the stuff that's in the building. And it's gonna take longer than 30 days for me to get rid of what I got in there.
I have been following your progress, well, probably every day, but you've done a lot.
I know I've done a lot. I go there, I work there 7 days a week, you know.
You have, and it doesn't even hardly look the same. But what I'm saying is, I'm gonna go ahead and keep it condemned and give you 30 days. If you run into 33 days or 35 days, I think Wes has, you wanna elaborate on that a little bit, Wes? I mean, we're not gonna go and, because we know the progress you've been making on it. So, and I don't wanna disrupt that. But I don't think any extensions or anything like that's gonna work
Well,
either. But
I don't have a problem with the progress. What I'm saying is, I've got to get rid of some stuff that's in the building, you know.
there's not much left in it. I saw
Well,
today.
believe me, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Okay.
Mr. Robinson,
Well,
he
you've been
looked at
doing a
it.
good job getting it out, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I say, this stuff's got to be sold. It's got to be, place got to be.
Well, you just do the best you can
Well,
in 30 days.
that's all I expect for y'all.
That's
You
right. That's right.
I understand I understand what y'all going through. A whole bunch of people, that don't give a darn about Ray Harrington, that just wants to raise hell about it, the stuff in it,
Right.
But I've lived in this here parish all my life,
I know, Ray.
and I don't like anybody telling me what to do.
I know.
And
Well, I thank you for your time and coming up here and
well, just give me the time to sell my stuff and everything, and
Right.
we're gonna start tearing the building down.
okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good. My motion is to condemn and remove in 30 days.
I have a motion by Mr. Brame and a second by Mr. Barris to condemn and remove in 30 days. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Harrington.
Thank you, Ray.
Good luck, sir. 1G. I'm sorry, I'm skipping mine. 1F, 5012 Manchester Road, Iowa, Ward 2, one house and one accessory building. Do we have any speakers in the audience on that item? Seeing none.
Move to condemn.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Markentile and a second by Mr. Richard. Any other discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, it is to be condemned and removed in 30 days. 1G, 4644 Berry Street, Starks, Ward 5, one house. Is there anyone in the audience to discuss 1G?
Move to condemn.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Markentile and a second by Mr. Richard. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none. 1G is condemned and to be removed in 30 days. 1H, 2511 Anderson Road, Westlake, Ward 4, one house. Anyone in the audience on 1H?
Move to condemn.
Have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Markentile. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, it is to be condemned and removed in 30 days. 1I, 408 Stifle Street, 408 Stifle Street, Westlake Ward 4, one manufactured home. Is there anyone in the audience to speak on 1I?
Move to condemn.
I have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Barris. Is there any discussion? Any objection? It's to be condemned and removed in 30 days. Item 1J, 3215 Utah Street. Staff requests that this item be deferred to the regular meeting on Thursday, October the 6th. I need a motion to defer.
Motion to defer. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Tremonti and a second by Mr. Markentile. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 1J is deferred until October 6th, 2022.
8D. 8D?
8D. Adopt a resolution on bids for the Office of the Juvenile Justice Services Hurricane Repair Project. Staff recommends that the bid of Trahan Construction LLC in the amount of $549,000 be accepted. Have a motion by Mr. Barris and a second by Mr. Burley. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8D passes. 8E.
Move on 8E.
Adopt a resolution on bids for the Carnegie Library Hurricane Repair Project. Staff recommends that the bid of Ryder and Ryder LTD in the amount of $760,400 be accepted. I have a motion by Mr. Markentile and a second by Mr. Richard. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8E passes. 8F.
Move on 8F.
Action on bids for 3 2022 or newer tandem dump trucks. Staff recommends rejecting the non-responsive bid, so we don't need a motion, right?
Oh, you're right.
8G, action on bids for barbecue pits and fire rings for use at various parish park
Move on
locations.
8G.
Staff recommends the bid of R.J. Thomas Manufacturing Company be accepted. Have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I have some.
Mr. Smith.
Well, yes, thank you. I know these pits were definitely needed in parks, especially in Mallard Junction and River Bluff. So I want to thank staff for kind of, speed that along so we can get our pits and all the other things for that park to really be brought back up. So thank y'all again.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Is there any other discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8H. I'm sorry, 8H carries. 8I, action on bids for spring-based signpost. Staff recommends the bid of Vulcan Incorporated doing business as Vulcan Signs be
Move on
accepted. I have a motion by Mr. Abshar and a second by Mr. Burley. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8I passes. 8J, action on bids for storage containers and dollies. Staff recommends the bid of Bliss Products and Services Incorporated be accepted.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Abshar and a second by Mr. Barty. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8J
Mr.
passes.
President, Mr. President?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Did we skip 8H?
Yeah.
Yes, I think we skipped 8H.
Well, why'd you let me do that?
I'm sorry, it's
You don't
my
know your
fault.
alphabet?
That's your right-hand man right
We're gonna have barbecue pits when he picnic tables.
We need tables.
Because I have to constantly worry about what y'all are gonna do. 8H, action on bids for picnic tables for use at various parish park locations. Staff recommends the bids of Bliss Products and Services Incorporated and R.J. Thomas Manufacturing Company Incorporated be accepted. Have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Richard. Mr. Smith.
Thank you again, Mr. President. And once again, like I say, if we have to have the pits, we have to have the tables. So I guess the folks at Mallard Junction and River Bluff, thanks y'all very much. And hopefully those pits and tables make it to the parks.
Mr. Guillory.
Mike, I'm not sure if they're going to Mallard Junction. So,
Well, I mean, we're gonna look and see. Hopefully they do go.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, 8H passes, and which one am I on next?
Yeah. Come on, VP.
I'm sorry? J, K. Action on bids for tables and chairs. Staff recommends the bids of Conserve Company and Douglas Food Stores be accepted. Have a motion by Mr. Mr. Barris, and a second by Mr. Abshar. Staff recommends the bids, I already said that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, 8K passes. 8L, action on bids for trash receptacles. Staff recommends the bid of R.J. Thomas Manufacturing Company be accepted. Have a motion by Mr. Onderpont and a second by Mr. Barris. Is there any discussion? Any objection? 8L passes. 8M, action on bids for water drinking fountains for use at various parish park locations. Staff recommends rejecting all non-responsive bids. 8N, action on bids for sign faces. Staff recommends the bid of Vulcan Incorporated doing business as Vulcan Signs be accepted. Have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Hayes. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8N passes. 8O, adopt a resolution on bids for the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury Hurricane Demolition Project. Staff recommends that the bid of Alfred Palmer LLC in the amount of $309,900 be accepted. Have a motion by Mr. Guillory and a second by Mr. Smith. And Mr. Guillory.
I guess maybe Wes or something. I know these was all underneath the storms, due to the storms, right? Especially the one on Moreland Street and the Elps Library. These was all from the storms damage. Okay. Is some of the storm money doing this or no?
Mr. Gary, yeah, it's insurance money applies to all of these demolition projects.
Okay, all right, thank
Yes,
you
sir.
all.
Is there any other discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8O carries. 8P, adopt a resolution on bids for the Curry Drive Bridge Replacement Project. I have a motion by Mr. Marcantel and a second by Mr. Barris. Staff recommends that the bid of APEC Construction LLC in the amount of $4,443,269.96 be accepted. 8Q, adopt a resolution accepting the fire station's hurricane repair project as substantially complete.
So moved.
Second.
My screen just went out.
Not really. You're making it up anyway. You don't know his alphabet.
Hey, watch it, I can hear you. I'm right here. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Hayes and a second by Mr. Marcantel. Is there any other discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 8Q passes. 9A, Ward 1 Economic
Reappoint A, B,
Development
and
Board.
D. Reappointment.
I have a motion by Mr. Marcantel, I'm sorry, Mr. Richard, and a second by Mr. Burley to reappoint Mrs. Michelle McInnes. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, Ms. McInnes is reappointed. 9B.
Move on 9B.
Ward 1 Fire Protection District Number 1. Reappoint Mr. Ronald R. Harmon. I have a motion by Mr. Marcantel and a second by Mr. Richard. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none. Ronald Harmon is reappointed. 9C, Ward 7 Fire
Move to reappoint
Protection
Mr.
District
Steve
Number
Smith.
1.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Barris and a second by Mr. Marcantel to reappoint Mr. Stephen Smith. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, Mr. Smith is reappointed. 9D, Waterworks
Reappoint
District Number
Joshua
1 of
Thomas.
Ward
Second.
1, Mr. Joshua Thomas for reappointment. Have a motion by Mr. Richard and a second by Mr. Smith. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, Mr. Thomas is reappointed. 9E, Waterworks District Number 4, Ward 4, to reappoint Mr. Doug Fleming. I have a motion by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Markentile. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, 9E carries.
Move to reappoint Mr. Robert Binky Barentine.
9F, Waterworks District Number 11 of Wards 4 and 7, to reappoint Mr. Robert Binky Barentine. I have a motion by Mr. Onderpunt and a second by Mr. Markentile. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, Mr. Barentine is reappointed. Item 10 is board by.
We're gonna take a point of personal.
I have a point of personal
Oh,
approved
well,
by
all right.
Mr. Guillory.
I just want to say, we want to wish Mike and his wife 33 years. This is their anniversary today, so.
That's why he's waiting. That's why you got this special hat on tonight.
Yeah, I know. Thank you very much.